Hello, and welcome to African American Studies 142 AC, Race in American Film. I'm your professor for this course, and my name is Michael Mark Cohen. I'm a professor of teaching in American Studies and African American Studies. And I've been teaching at UC Berkeley since 2004, and I have taught this particular class in the spring semester for more than a dozen years. I love this topic, and I love these movies. Well, most of them, and perhaps love is a strong word when it comes to some of these movies, but you'll figure that out. Most importantly, I love teaching this class, and I hope that this change in format to an online summer school experience is as rewarding for you as it has been for me and the dedicated team of media and learning specialists that I have collaborated with to produce it. My sincere thanks goes out to all of those behind the camera and behind the computer screens here at Berkeley whose work makes this class possible. So too do I need to thank the GSIs who have joined me in teaching this class. I cannot do this without their considerable efforts because while the design of this class and all of its many faults are mine alone, it is the GSIs who you will be interacting with most directly, and they are the ones who will be grading and compiling your grade. Over the course of the next 6 weeks, we will consider the intertwined histories of race and film in the United States. Together, we will discuss U.S. history and its changing racial formations and cultural landscapes, from the invention of film in the 1890s through to the 21st century. To do this, we'll be watching 9 feature films, as well as film clips from a dozen more titles. Starting after this first introductory week, we'll establish a basic pattern in which I will present a historical lecture, setting up the background necessary to understand the chosen feature film, followed by a list of questions that will help guide your viewing of the film. Once you have watched the film all the way through, we will follow up with another lecture in which we discuss the film itself by rewatching clips and discussing its themes. In this rhythm, we will watch 2 films a week. Films are not only a great way to study U.S. history, but in many ways, they are U.S. history. As you will see, American film history can be effectively periodized, its major historical markers clearly established by movies that are explicitly about race and racism. The movies selected for this class are chosen not just because they are great or important films, which they are, but because they also have, at least in my judgment as both historian and film scholar, a specific capacity to represent the changing history of American race relations, from the Jim Crow era of segregation through to the Civil Rights Movement to our own moment of disaster and reaction. As you might be anticipating, this class is going to deal with some highly controversial topics right off the top. In this 21st century moment, in an American public university, just about any conversation on race and racism is bound to draw in some substantive controversy. This class will be no different. Indeed, I welcome controversy in a way, and I have chosen several deliberately controversial films, including a movie made about the Ku Klux Klan, a movie about striking workers made by communists, and a movie that ends in police violence and a race riot. The purpose, however, is not to court or stir up controversy for controversy's sake. I will state from the start that this class is designed as a practice in anti-racist pedagogy. So I will warn you that we will confront and discuss some truly appalling forms of racism and racial violence in this class. But we do not do so as a means of shocking people, let alone encouraging racism, or to blame people in the present for the crimes of the past. We engage in this historical and cultural investigation as a means of understanding the logic and structure of white supremacy, critiquing its various and naturalized metaphors, and to better understand the complexities of our changing identities and communities in this diverse nation. For if we cannot look with clear eyes at the injustices of the past, we can never hope to build a more just future. Now, this may sound like a lofty goal for a film class, but I hope to convince you that this is entirely appropriate. The point of watching controversial and difficult movies is to learn to talk about our differences through a conversation around a shared text. Movies are great for this because, as those of us who love movies know, the really important part about watching movies is discussing them, even arguing with our friends about the films well after the credits have rolled. So I thank you for joining me in this shared project. I look forward to guiding you through the history of struggle and promise, and I hope that we can all learn something about ourselves, our history, and each other in this process. So let's get started.